In 1792, Alexander Hamilton wrote the rules for American money, casting the dollar in silver, law, and national ambition. But behind that statute was a fierce gamble. Could a single coin unite fractured states and pay off impossible debts? The answer defined the world's reserve currency, and its consequences still ripple through every market today. But how exactly did the US dollar's creation reshape global finance, and who truly engineered its rise? Alexander Hamilton stepped into the role of Treasury Secretary with a vision: a single national dollar trusted across every state. In his report on the public credit, he argued that stable money was the backbone of public trust and national power. The Coinage Act of 1792 put his plan into law. The act defined the dollar as 371.25 grains of pure silver, matching the Spanish dollar already circulating in American markets. For the first time, the US adopted a decimal system, $1 divided into 100 cents, making calculation and commerce simpler than the old British shillings and pence. The act established the Philadelphia Mint and authorized coins in gold, silver, and copper, including the $10 eagle and the humble cent. Anyone could bring bullion to the mint for coinage, anchoring the new currency in the metal trusted by merchants. Hamilton saw this as more than just money. It was a foundation for American credit, unity, and economic sovereignty. Hamilton's plan for a stable dollar demanded more than coins. It needed a system to turn legal tender into practical credit. In 1791, Congress chartered the first Bank of the United States with $10 million in capital, 1/5 owned by the federal government. The bank assumed $75 million in combined state and federal war debts, binding the young nation's finances together. Its charter allowed the bank to issue paper notes, all redeemable in gold or silver, and to open branches from Boston to Charleston. These notes quickly circulated across state lines, accepted by merchants and used to pay taxes from New Hampshire to Georgia. By 1796, nearly $5 million in notes moved through commerce, providing the liquidity that coins alone could not. The bank's network made the dollar credible far beyond the mint, setting a precedent for national money that could meet the demands of a growing economy. During the Civil War, Congress authorized $450 million in paper notes known as greenbacks, money not backed by gold or silver, but by the government's promise alone. These notes filled a desperate need for wartime funding, but their value swung with every rumor from the front. Merchants, creditors, and farmers found themselves on opposite sides, some demanding a return to gold and silver for stability, and others favoring easy money to pay off debts. In 1873, Congress passed a law that quietly removed the standard silver dollar from coinage, ending the official use of silver in US currency. The move later became known as the Crime of 1873, and it triggered fierce protests from those who saw it as a blow to debtors and ordinary workers. The fight over which metal should anchor the dollar exposed deep divides in American society and set the stage for the country's push toward a single metal standard. The Gold Standard Act of 1900 set the dollar's value at $20.67 per ounce of gold, promising convertibility for every note in circulation. This fixed anchor brought confidence, but it also exposed the system's limits when panic struck. In 1907, a wave of bank failures swept the country, freezing credit and draining reserves. With no central authority to stabilize the crisis, the financial system teetered on collapse. In response, Senator Nelson Aldrich led a commission to study the world's most resilient monetary systems. Their findings shaped a new approach, a reserve network with the flexibility to expand or contract credit as needed. In 1910, Aldrich and a small group of bankers met in secret at Jekyll Island, drafting plans for a central bank. The Federal Reserve Act of 1913 established 12 regional reserve banks and a central board, giving the dollar an elastic foundation, one designed to prevent future panics and manage liquidity beyond the constraints of gold alone. In July 1944, delegates from 44 nations gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to design a new world monetary order. The agreement set the US dollar as the central anchor, promising foreign governments the right to exchange dollars for gold at $35 an ounce. This system, enforced by the newly created International Monetary Fund and World Bank, tied global currencies to the dollar and the dollar to gold. But by the late 1960s, rising US deficits and gold outflows strained the promise of convertibility. On August 15, 1971, President Nixon announced the suspension of the dollar's link to gold in a televised address. Overnight, the dollar became a fiat currency, backed not by metal, but by the economic and political credibility of the United States. The age of policy-driven money and modern global liquidity had begun. Federal Reserve balance sheets swelled from under $1 trillion in 2008 to nearly $9 trillion by 2022, as policymakers responded to crisis with quantitative easing and emergency lending. The M2 money supply surged, growing more than 25% in the year following March 2020, fueling a wave of risk-taking across global markets. In October 2008, Satoshi Nakamoto published the Bitcoin white paper, introducing a digital asset designed to operate outside central banks. As the Federal Reserve injected trillions of dollars into the system, demand for on-chain dollar proxies exploded. By the mid-2020s, stablecoins such as USDT and USDC surpassed $150 billion in circulation, settling the majority of crypto trades and tracking the ebb and flow of official dollar liquidity. Digital markets now move in tandem with policy-driven liquidity, linking the centuries-old dollar to a new era of programmable finance. Subscribe to Tech Gauged on YouTube for more videos. Every transaction today depends on trust in the dollar's design. As new digital currencies test that trust, the dollar's future is written in how we manage liquidity, crisis after crisis. Subscribe to Tech Gauged on YouTube for more videos.